Hey everybody, this is Holly Rising with Be Kind for Lyme, and we're doing another one of our 3-question interviews. Today we have our special guest, John McLean, and he is with Nat Cap Lyme in the North Carolina area, and we are going to interview him with our 3 questions, and you're going to learn all about Nat Cap Lyme. So we welcome John McLean to the recording today.
Thank you, Holly. It's good to be here.
Yeah, you too. And where in North Carolina are you?
We're located in Charlotte.
Okay. So, John, you run the Nat Cap Lyme North Carolina charter. So would you tell everyone out there what you do with Nat Cap Lyme and its mission and vision?
Our main mission is we strive to improve the quality of life of people suffering with Lyme and other tick-borne diseases. We offer support. And we disseminate information to educate and empower families, healthcare workers, and the community at large. My part, we do awareness events. It doesn't matter if it's a tractor pull or a health fair, or I prefer health fairs. But we feel if we could reach out and if we do an event, if we can just reach out and touch one person, help one person, then, it's been worth it to us. Nat Cap Lyme also concentrates on, we do a lot of legislative work. Right now, it's mainly in the DC, Virginia, and Maryland area. We've had sponsored several laws that have been put through in Virginia and recently in Maryland. Basically, these laws say that when a doctor gives you a Lyme test, he has to give you a written document stating that the test may not be accurate. It doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have Lyme, and you have the right to be tested or request treatment at a later time. He has to do this orally, and he has to give you a written statement. So we're hoping some of that is going to drift down into North Carolina. That is the plan. But a lot of time and money goes into making these things happen. So it's kind of a step at a time.
I'm going to do a part B because it's not my second question. How long have they been around, and who is the founder?
Nat Cap Lyme has been around, I'm wanting to say, for about 25 years. The founder and executive director is Monty Schall. She is a very get-go lady. She's a take no for an answer, and I'm proud to work with her.
I actually found you because I was doing some health fairs in the area for some Lyme tables, and I got some literature from you to use on my table.
Yes, ma'am.
That goes back at four years, maybe?
Possibly. I think that was right after we got started here in North Carolina.
Yep, and I got a ton of brochures from you, and great information to spread at any of the Lyme Awareness tables that I've done.
Right.
So, tell us, question number 2, tell us what you do in the North Carolina chapter, locally, community-wise.
Community-wise, like I say, I work with health departments. I try to work with as many school nurses as I can. We're trying to make inroads into the Boy Scouts right now.
That's great.
Just anything we can do. I communicate with a lot of minor emergency clinics, which in some cases seems to be the best places for Lyme patients to go. As you may or may not know, North Carolina, as far as the medical folks, they're very undereducated. They don't quite know what Lyme is or how to treat it. Some do. But we still have doctors here in North Carolina that will tell patients, we have no Lyme here in North Carolina. They'll look at a rash and say, well, no, we don't have Lyme here. It's starry, which if you don't know starry, it's called Southern Tick-Related rash.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, you know, there's a lot of misinformation out there going on in the medical community. And like I say, we try to reach out as much as we can to doctors, nurses, just whoever.
All right, so I'm not asking my third question yet. I'm still doing a part B because it's supposed to be the 3-question interview, but I got much to say. Is there a movement to try to get Nat Cap Lyme in more states?
We are working on that. I'm working with a group right now. They're having an under our skin screening May the 7th. They're also having a 5K run.
Where's this?
On May the 14th, I believe it is. That's in Clover, South Carolina, which is right over the border from Charlotte. So we're going to help them out with that. We're going down in support for the 5K, and I will be attending the screening of Under Our Skin.
And that's May 7th?
The Under Our Skin screening is May 7th. The 5K, if I'm not mistaken, is May 14th.
Okay.
I can post this on the Eastern North Carolina, South Carolina website, and anybody that wants to come down or take part, or I know you're a long way away, but we'd be glad to have you.
Yeah, it sounds great. I have a couple of commitments on one of the days, but I'm going to try to figure out how to get there. And so Nat Cap Lyme is sponsoring it, or somebody else in South Carolina, the Starry is sponsoring it?
Somebody else in North Carolina, they're called Ticked About Lyme.
Okay.
That's the name of their group. And we're going down strictly in a support mode. We're not sponsoring either one of these events. That's totally Ticked About Lyme. That's their event. We're just going down in support. If we can carry volunteers, I'll take volunteers with me, or I'll do whatever it takes. We plan on setting up an awareness booth, and you know, like I say, just any way we can get the word out. So would like to spread into South Carolina, but we want to find a group that's fairly established and has a fair amount of members, and a good person that can chair the group.
Okay. I think we're trying to get there with the group I added you to, the Lyme Disease Awareness Group for Eastern Carolina, only because South Carolina is so big. I do have friends with Lyme that live in the upstate, but we're like 5 hours apart from each other, so it's hard to combine events if
Right.
we're not willing to drive 5 hours. If we had a smaller state, it would be better. But we are working on it, and I think, you know, I would love to try to get to a point where we can sponsor a chapter down here for you. So I like to get personal on these, and I would like to give you a platform to just tell everybody out there a little bit of your background with dealing with Lyme and how long and what your story is.
Okay, my story is a bit of a long story, so I'm going to try to give you as short of a version of it as I can. About 12 years ago, I was bitten by a tick. I developed the perfect bullseye rash. I went to my doctor and was tested, and this was in the early stages. Of course, by the time I got to the doctor, the rash had disappeared, but the test came back negative. And at the time, I had pretty much blind faith in my doctors, and you know, I put it out of my mind. I didn't think about it anymore. And as time progressed, I got sicker and sicker. Flu-like symptoms, swelling joints. It got to the point where my memory was starting to kind of sort of fade on me. And my wife kept telling me, "You're sick, something's wrong with you. You need to go see the doctor." So here I go to the doctor, and it's depression. I've lost count of how many antidepressants I took during this little episode. Then it was anxiety, and I was given medication for that, and that did help for a short while. But the sickness continued. So finally, one day, my wife attended a doctor's appointment with me, and she said to the doctor, "Look, something's wrong with him, and you have to do something." And at the time, I think he was kind of tired of it, and he said, "Well, I'm going to send him to the psychologist." So here I go to the psychologist, and I'm giving him all kinds of psych neuro tests, and this lasted for about 3 or 4 days. Then I was referred to a neurologist, and the neurologist, the psychologist, and my primary care doctor got together and looked at everything that the psychologist had come up with, and they made a diagnosis of early onset Alzheimer's.
Wow.
which is a bit of a death blow, So I kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker. Eventually, I lost the ability just about to speak. I knew what I wanted to say, but I couldn't get it out of my mouth. I kind of sort of lost the use of my hands as far as using my knife and fork, and just got sicker and sicker. And one day I decided, I'm pretty much done. So I didn't take any more meds, and I pretty much took to the bed to let nature take its course. I was ready. And then came what I call my miracle day. I stepped out of bed one day, and I had the worst groin and back pain that I have ever had in my life. I told the wife, I said, "I have to go to the emergency room. I can't tolerate this." So here we go to the emergency room. I was given a few rounds of IV antibiotics. I was sent home with 2 weeks of oral antibiotics. And at the end of all that, the wife and I were starting to notice that there were some things that were starting to get better. My speech was becoming a bit better. The use of my hands was becoming a bit better. But we dared not say anything to each other because we'd been through so much. I was misdiagnosed for 8 years before we had the diagnosis of Alzheimer's. And so I went to a follow-up with a neurologist that the emergency room had recommended. And he said, "Well, do you feel like you still have a bit of the infection?" I said, "Well, maybe a little bit." He said, "Well, look, let's just go ahead and get rid of it." And he put me on 5 weeks worth of oral antibiotics. At the end of that 5 weeks, the wife and I were looking at each other, and we finally admitted something's not right with this picture, because the use of my hands, I just about had that totally back. My speech was like just about 100% better. So we knew, something's not right here. So we started doing our own research. And in the course of that research, we stumbled across, there was an article called Lyme Disease, often misdiagnosed as Alzheimer's. So we started reading and reading and reading. And all of a sudden, like a freight train, the tick bite that I had years and years and years ago hit home. And the more reading we did, the more convinced we became, this is not early onset Alzheimer's, this is Lyme disease. Could not get a doctor here in North Carolina to take me seriously. No treatment whatsoever. And the effects from the original groin infection lasted about 3 months. And when I relapsed hard. Got very, very, very sick, pretty much bedridden. So we finally found a doctor out of state that agreed to have a look. and he ran a barrage of tests and came back and said, yes, you do have Lyme disease. There's no doubt about it. You've got Lyme, you've got Babesia, and you've got Bartonella. So we went through about 2.5 years of pretty intense antibiotic treatment. And I became a normal functioning human being again. You know, I'm back, I'm out of bed, I'm doing about anything I want to do. I know my grandkids' names, I can take them fishing, I can, you know, it's a wonderful thing. It's like walking from the dark back into the light. I just can't explain to you how it, you know, how it felt. It was, when I knew I had something I could fight. The fight came out and I went back to work, and we, so far, you know, knock on wood, we're good. We're in good shape.
That is a great story. And we're so glad that you didn't give up and that you pushed forward and tried to find an answer.
Yeah, we made up our minds, the whole family did, that if I did manage to get better, that we were going to start a support group. And it started out as a small local support group. And I had a lot of questions, and I stumbled across Bonnie Scall with Nat Cap Lyme, and we had quite a few conversations. And she was making a trip to Raleigh. She said, how about meeting us in Raleigh for lunch? So my wife and I, Barbara, we headed to Raleigh, and we had lunch with Monty and her husband, Greg. And they asked, she said, would you like to become the North Carolina chapter of Nat Cap Lyme? And I said, absolutely. And we did. And, you know, I have no regrets. I enjoy it. I enjoy what I do. I love talking to patients and trying to help them out, which sometimes is kind of hard to do. You get kind of heartbroken. They run out of money, which
oh, yes,
it just about bankrupted us. But, you know, it was worth it. I'm here. So,
wow.
you know, I enjoy what I do. You know, life is good right now.
That's great. Well, maybe we can just, when whoever decides to watch this video, if we get some people in South Carolina that want to get in touch with me through John, whatever, maybe we can start the grassroots ground level of trying to get a Nat Cap Lyme chapter down here.
Yes, I will do that. I will do that.
And I will have at the end, sorry, my dog's in the way. Oh my God. I will, in this video, somewhere in this video at the end, I will have information linking to you and linking to Nat Cap Lyme, and that way people can get in touch with you. And if people from other states are interested in starting a chapter after they, you know, do some of the, you know, reading of what the mission is, you know, maybe we'll get some people from some other states interested in starting it.
Sure, and they can visit our website. It's NatCapLyme.org, and they can actually join NatCap. We have over, I think at last count, there were over 3,000 members nationwide.
Nice.
And if they join, I mean, it costs nothing. All it takes is an email address. And you'll get email alerts. You'll see what we're doing. You'll get press releases. You'll get, you know, you'll get a lot of good stuff.
Perfect. Well, I thank you so much for taking your afternoon out to do one of our interviews.
Absolutely. I enjoyed it.
Great. And I'm going to stop the recording on this, but just don't go anywhere yet.
Okay.